I recently went to one of them estate sales where you can find some pretty good deals, so I'm going to show y'all what I got. But it's not just going to be, hey, here's what I bought, here's what's for sale. Of course, I'm also going to give you a little bit of background, tell you a little bit about these tools and maybe where they came from or how they came to be. So let's hop in. Let's kick it off with this K3. That's the single K. So we know that was made by Stanley, and we know that it's based off of the round side bedrock design. So these were made for Keen Cutter, hence the K. And as you can see, it's got the twisted lateral, but it was definitely made by Stanley. And these are fairly collectible because they're often cheaper than their bedrock counterparts, but it's essentially the same plane. And it does have a little layer of surface rust because the last owner of these, I guess, passed away a couple years ago. And they just sat in the shop for a long time before his widow was able to part with them. So now it's time to get this cleaned up and back into the hands of another woodworker to be its next custodian. This little guy is a pretty cool rabbet plane. I mean, it looks fairly well built. I think there's probably used to be a sticker right there. But it looks like it's in pretty decent condition. Probably hasn't seen a whole lot of use. And maybe that wood is something in the rosewood family or rosewood adjacent maybe. But, you know, it looks like a decent enough plane. It looks like it would probably do a pretty good job. Let's talk a little bit about gauge planes because I picked up these three from this estate sale. And this is an original one right here. So you can see this is Gauge Tool Company from Vinland, New Jersey. So this was the original one when, or one of the originals when Gauge was still making them. And as you can see, it's kind of similar to a transitional plane as far as having like a wooden sole, but having the metallic upper half. And then of course it's got the adjuster there. The claim to fame on these little guys is that they are what's called an auto set, where you could take the blade out, you could go to your sharpening stones, sharpen it back up, and then when you go to put it back in, I guess at least my understanding of it is the auto set means that it goes right back to where you had it previously set before you sharpened it. So that way you don't have to go through the pain of getting it set again, and you can just get straight back to work. If you know your Stanley history, you know that they were quite fond of buying out their competition. So Stanley bought out Gauge, and they liked the design enough that they kept making them. So this one right here is still considered a Gauge. It's self-setting, but if I was to clean this off, you would see that that actually says Stanley there. Okay, you talked me into it. So let's see, Stanley, made by Stanley, and they had moved to New Britain, Connecticut. So obviously they're no longer making these in New Jersey, and they had gone ahead and moved up to Connecticut. So we've got a G26 here. This one is, I believe, a number 5 equivalent. But both of these planes were made by Stanley after the buyout, and I think this one's a 4.5 equivalent. So I went ahead and picked them up partially so that I could tell you all a little bit about Gauge planes, just because you don't see them for sale all too incredibly often. This one I did not buy at the sale, but it's another Stanley Gauge, and so I just wanted to include it in the video just so y'all could see what it looked like. So basically what they did is Stanley took this upper part of the design with the self-setting feature, and they just put it on a metallic sole. So pretty straightforward. The tote and the knob are actually compatible with just any metallic Stanley plane, and just this portion, or this portion right here, the blade and the chip breaker and all that, or I guess the equivalent of a chip breaker, is obviously unique to this style of plane. But you can see we've still got the manufactured by Stanley and all that. I do believe the blade is different on these. And you can see the adjustment mechanism right here that engages. So that's your, as far as I know, the 3 different types of Gauge planes that you might see out there. The original one made by Gauge, and then the transitional version, if you will, made by Stanley, followed by the metallic version, which is what you see here. Any timber framers out there? I got from a 1/2 inch up to 1.5 inches. This is a set of Greenlee timber framing chisels. You can't hardly read that too well. I did knock the grime off of one of these just to see what was up, and so I know for sure it's a Greenlee. And then also that the backs of these can be saved, and that one is definitely, I mean, it'll take some work, but it can definitely be cleaned up and get an edge put back on that. So any timber framers out there like a nice set of Greenlee chisels? This one's another Greenlee, and this is actually a mortising chisel. It's coming in at a 1/4 inch there, and it's in decent enough shape. Like so many tools that you find at estate sales, it does need to be sharpened and cleaned up a little bit. This one is a marked 720. So between the 720s and the 750s, they're among the most popular Stanley chisels. And same thing, this one, of course, needs to be cleaned up. But, unfortunately, it does have that little splooge of glue there. So I guess maybe the previous owner got tired of it coming out of the socket. And so they just went ahead and kind of semi-permanently attached that. So still a decent enough worker. Not sure if I'd want to remove that or just leave it as is. But, yeah, a couple of decent chisels there. This is a little set of squares that I picked up, and I've actually been looking for something like this for a while and just haven't been able to find one at a price point that I wanted. And I started the process of cleaning this one up a little bit. As you can see, I've got a little ways to go. Tried some steel wool and a razor blade on that. But I'm going to see how clean I can get these. I'm actually planning on keeping probably this set. But so far, this one right here, I checked against one of my squares and it did not agree, so I'm not sure which one's lying to me, but I checked it on my jointer and it showed that my jointer fence is good. So I don't know what's going on there. More to follow on that. This was probably one of the nicer things that I picked up. I don't know, that's kind of a toss-up, but this one is a little 271 made in England, and it's in pretty doggone good shape, especially for its age. And it even comes with the box and the original paperwork. I mean, the label isn't worth a darn. But the 271 itself is pretty nice. But I already have one of these that's actually made in USA. So I will not be keeping this one just because it would be a duplicate. But I'm pretty confident that somebody out there is going to want that little Made in England 271. Let's move on to sharpening. I did buy the gentleman's Tormek. I'm not going to show that on camera because I have no intention of selling it anytime soon. But I got some of his Japanese stones as well, sharpening stones. Unfortunately, I don't speak Japanese. I mean, this one is a chemical stone, whatever the heck that means. But it looks like it was probably barely used, if it was used at all. And then this one here probably saw more use. You can see some wear there. I don't really know anything about these. I just thought they looked cool, so I went ahead and got them. I've got a friend of mine down in Florida that I'm going to reach out to. I'm sure he can probably at least give me a little bit more insight into them. But I always think it's interesting to see what methods other people use to sharpen, especially at estate sales. And whether I end up keeping them or if I pass them on to somebody else, I'm pretty confident somebody's going to get some good use out of these. These perfect handle screwdrivers are always a hit. These are Irwin's as far as I can tell, and I'm pretty sure it's an actual set. I only found the Irwin logo on just one of them, or the Irwin name, but it sure looks like a set to me, and that's how I'm going to sell them, is in this set of 5 different sizes. But yeah, if you like the grip there on a nice perfect handle screwdriver, this set is definitely available. From looking at this collection, or at least this part of it, it looks like this guy was into foreign tools. Stuff not made in the US. You got your Kuhn's squirrel tail. This is made in Germany. And everybody likes a little squirrel tail. You got your Veritas number 95 clone. This one, of course, made in Canada. Needs a little cleaning up. You got your Scorp, which the chair makers will like. This one was made in Japan. Looks like it's got plenty of life left and a nice, relatively clean blade. And then you got your 151, which is record, and that was made over in England. So just running the gamut here, and it's got the little curved sole there. I got a lot of requests for those. So if you like any of these, make sure you let me know. If you want to see how them cats over in Europe do things, this is from Western Germany. It's an ECE, and I've sold one like this before. It's about the size of a block plane. I don't know if you can tell that by scale here. And then this one is an ulmia, U-L-M-I-A. That is not to be confused with the bone in your arm called the ulna. Mine has been surgically repaired, but that's off on another story. If you're into mallets made in the Czech Republic, although I thought this place was called Czechia now, but if you're into that and you need one, I got 3. And I don't know that these two, well, really any of them, but I don't know that these two have ever been used. They still got the daggone sticker on them. Anybody need a mallet? The last one I want to show y'all is this Knight Toolworks. And I don't know if y'all are familiar with this. I'm sure at least a couple of y'all are. But there was a gentleman by the name of Steve Knight who lived out west, I believe in Washington State. And about, we'll say about 20 years ago, I mean 2006, But he was making them in the early 2000s, and you can see his Knight Toolworks logo right there. But back in the early 2000s, he made a series of planes. I just read an article from back then, back in the day, on fine woodworking, where he said at one point he was making about 30 planes a month. I've had a few Knight Toolworks planes pass through the shop in years past, and they typically do pretty good. They kind of have kind of a cult following. This one has obviously seen better days. I'm pretty sure that's oak there for the wedge. And then he used a nice thick iron. This thing's about a 1/4 inch thick. And it talks in the article that I read about his process as far as sending these out for heat treating. He would cut the irons himself from O1 steel. And then what's unique about his, or especially unique, is that it's obviously a wooden plane, but it had this adjustable mouth. And at least I'd say probably half or more of the planes that I've seen of his had that adjustable mouth feature. I mean, this one does show little signs of wear here and there, but it's still plenty serviceable. It's still a good plane and would still make a good worker. And it's a piece of history. Kind of hard to believe that it's already 18 years old, but I'm hoping to put this in the hands of somebody who's going to put it back to work. And hey, if you saw anything in this video that you think you might like, of course, patrons, y'all got priority. Let me know.